Hey everybody, welcome to Chapter 4, Lesson 4, the Campaign Roadmap. So what are we talking about when we say campaign roadmap? What does that mean? Well, we're essentially going to be talking about project management. So I'm going to put on my corporate project management hat and share all of my best learnings from my experience in that world and apply it here to this lesson that you can use in your campaign. So in a previous job, I worked for a really large financial services company. It had roughly 100,000 employees and contractors around the world, and was one of the most beloved brands in the world, in history probably. And my job for them, I was on a team called Business Strategy Execution. And what we did was when a big business initiative was decided by senior management, let's say that like two large business units are going to merge together. And when that decision to merge those two together was made, then my team would come in and craft the strategies that were required in order to actually make the rubber hit the road and make that business initiative happen. And whatever sort of value was supposed to come out of that initiative, we would put the strategies in place to move that along. So I know it sounds very nebulous, it sounds super corporate, buzzwordy, and it was very, very, very corporate. But the experience is super valuable, and a lot of the best practices from there will be very valuable on a political campaign. Much of the work that I did during this job felt very political in nature, because if you think of an audience of roughly 100,000 employees and contractors worldwide, think of them as an electorate. Any big change coming to this organization would have to be sold to that audience, sold to that group. You would have to make sure that they were on board with all of your messaging. You'd have to pitch this idea to them and bring them through this journey. And the same can be said about running for a local office where maybe you have an electorate of roughly 100,000 people. The idea is similar in that there's a big giant pool of people out there, and you have to figure out the appropriate strategies to get those people to come along on the journey with you the way that you want. So we'll be using some of those best practices from there to talk about what I've called the campaign roadmap. And this is basically the sort of tool that we would use when we were doing work that we call PMO, like Project Management Office or Program Management Office. So this is some PMO type work for your campaign. So the rest of this lesson, we're going to jump into a tool that I've built for you guys where you can create and manage your campaign roadmap. So let's jump into that now. So this is the basic blank page here that I can use to walk you through. You'll see it's called Campaign Critical Path. I'll explain what that is in just 1 second. We'll do a critical path exercise together. So just want to walk you through the basics of this spreadsheet. So it has the plan start date. Right now it's set to February 19th, 2017. This just dictates what date you start at here in this cell. Plan time increments, daily. You have a choice daily or weekly. And that just dictates the different increments of time across this section here. If you want a more granular approach, then you'll choose daily. And you can see it automatically adjusts for you here. Here under activity, we have different steps that you'll take to deliver on an ultimate strategy. So if this was ordering Chinese food, it would be decide what you want. Call the place. Call the place. Eat the food. And you would have a start date of, we would decide what we want on February 19th. And from February 19th to February 20th, we'd be deciding what we want. We would actually call the place on the 21st, and then we would eat the food from the 21st to the 24th. Stupid example, but you guys see what I mean with how this thing works. You'll also notice that as I was updating these dates, some of these cells over here were changing. So let's say that we're going to eat the food from February 21st to March 8th. You'll see all of these cells out here updated. So what do these colors mean? What does that mean? Well, let's get into that. I can show you here. So you have these choices here for the status of each item. So right now these are all marked not started, but you could also mark it as complete. So when something is complete, it turns blue. So let's say this guy is complete as well, but we haven't eaten the food yet. So you would say we're right in the middle of it. So you'd say it's underway. And then you have this light blue color here. You also have a couple of different options, or one other option rather, and that's delayed. That colors it bright red. So if one of these items is at risk of not happening, you can color it bright red. So let's jump into like a more real exercise here that can help to bring this home for the campaign. So let's talk about, I'm just deleting everything out here, guys. Let's talk about critical path. What is that? Why do I have it here? So in like corporate project management lingo, critical path is a set of activities that absolutely have to occur in order for your overarching activity, your overarching goal to occur. So for example, if I wanted to start lifting weights and I've never done it before, then there are some activities that I would absolutely have to do. Number one, I would have to join a gym. Let's assume I can't do it at home gym. So number one, I would have to join a gym. Number two, I would have to take the required safety training at the gym with the personal trainer. And number three, I would have to actually go into the gym to do the workouts. So what about buying gym clothes? No, I could go to the gym without gym clothes. What about like bringing my water bottle? I could go there without a water bottle. It would suck, but I could go without a water bottle. Same with like earphones. So it's the activities that you have to do, absolutely 100% have to do, in order for the overarching activity, overarching goal to take place. So I wanted to talk about critical path because it's something that you should definitely create for your campaign. So you have in one spot the activities that must occur, otherwise you cannot be a candidate. Like you cannot run for office if you don't do these things. So I've done a little brainstorm here and wanted to cover off the activities that that I could think of. So first one comes to mind. Look at my notes I have here for you. Is you'll need to find a treasurer. And we'll talk in the very next lesson about what that is exactly, but you're going to need to find a treasurer. So let's say, let's just assume some dates here. We'll use our timeline that's up here. Say, we're starting, let's have this thing start on 1/1/2018, right around the corner, guys. So let's assume that we're going to start looking for a treasurer right now, and we're at the very beginning of this. Say we're sitting in December right now, enjoying some nice holidays, and we're going to get started right at the beginning of the year. So we'll start looking for that treasurer on 1/1/2018, and we're going to give ourselves 2 weeks to do it. So here's a little pro tip for you guys. You could type in 1/14 and it'll work. Well, 1/14/2018, and it'll work for you. But you can also, if you know that you want to give yourself 2 weeks to do that, you can put an equal sign and then make it equal to this date plus sign 14. So that'll just formulaically give you 2 weeks from the start date that you input. It'll give you the two week window there. So that's something kind of handy if you realize, well, actually, I'm going to be on vacation at the very beginning of January. I just remembered. So I'm actually going to get started on the 7th. And then, oh, well, look at that. Your end date just updated to the 21st. So there's a little tip for you guys. But remember where you put in formulas or put some sort of color coding in there so that you know, because when things start updating automatically and you're not paying attention to it, it can create a hot mess up in here. So finding a treasurer is first step. And then let's say apply for campaign committee formation. Apply for campaign committee formation. And we'll do this, as soon as we find a treasurer, we're going to do it. So here's how you do this. You could, of course, write 1/21/2018, plug it in there. But you can also just push equal sign and then choose the cell up here of the end date of finding a treasurer. So then we know. So if we push out this, it's like, oh, actually my vacation at the beginning of January, it's actually like 3 weeks long. So I'm probably not going to start until January 21st. Then look, it pushes this out to February 4th. And then the start date for applying for a campaign committee formation is February 4th. So that's basically how it works, guys. Let's say that we're going to give ourselves 7 days from there for the apply for campaign committee formation. And then let's throw, I'll just go ahead and fast forward the video here for you so you don't have to watch me input all this stuff, and then I'll talk to you about what it is. 1 second, we'll be right back. Okay, you can see here that we have a list of activities: find a campaign treasurer, open a bank account, file to form campaign committee, file with Fair Political Practices Commission, collect signatures to appear on the ballot, apply for Democratic Party endorsement, and we have a bunch of start dates and end dates here as well. So you'll see I have everything as not started, and then as things progress, you can move it forward to complete, or if something gets delayed, you can mark it delayed, and see it plots everything out on here on this timeline for you. So a super handy tool. One last thing that I want to call out here is we have these text boxes over here. So if you have a really critical deadline at a certain time, then you can go ahead and just put this big garish line going through here to keep your eye on it. And if you need to move it, you just select this box up here, hold down Shift, and well, there we go. Grab that line, then hold down Shift and push up here on this guy. Well, we'll get it one of these times. Might be a little bit tricky to do so, but it allows you to just move it all over. You might have to do it one at a time here, guy. You can move this over, and then grab your dotted line and move that over as well. So that's how each one of these sheets work. That's how what a critical path is. These are steps that you're probably going to need on your critical path, and we'll talk about them in the next episode in detail. Actually, the next episode is going to be super handy as you think through your own critical path for running. One more call out on this Excel file before we move on from it. You'll notice I've created some other blank tabs down here for you. Media strategy, fundraising events, voter contact, and GOTV. I think the video probably cuts them off, but when you download the file and look at it, you'll notice they're there for you. Basically, just wanted to provide you some blank tabs there so that you could have segmented project plans for each body of work for the campaign. play around with the tools. If you have any questions about them, feel free to ask them in the comments section over here. But this should be really, really useful for you. You'll likely need to do some tweaking to the Excel file, and I did my very, very, very best to make this as flexible of a tool as possible. I was using my Excel madman skills the best I could, but these things just get complex and very, very specific to the plan that it's trying to work for. So you guys are just going to have to customize it a little bit more for yourselves. Okay, that's all I have here for you on the critical path and the project management template and file that I have. Look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. In lesson 5, we'll be wrapping up the chapter with it. And yeah, so great work, guys. I know that this is heavy stuff, but you're chugging right along, and I hope it's really helpful for you. Talk to you soon. Thanks.